Shalom. I want to start off by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect who are continuing to fight and teach this thing of ours in truth and sincerity. Under Brother Manatazak with GMS Ancient of Days in Los Angeles, currently teaching with the small sanctuary in Inglewood. And today, through the Spirit, I want to get into a response lesson, which is going into the hot topic of the week, okay, which the title of this particular lesson is going to be, After Babylon the Great Falls, no heathen will ever rise to rulership again, okay? After Babylon the Great falls, the only nation that's going to have a continuing city and a sovereign reign, okay, is going to be the nation of Israel, okay? Now, when I say the hot topic of the week, those with their spiritual ear to the ground already know that I'm speaking about the blasphemy that's being taught by the IUIC, okay, and Bishop Nate or General Nate or whatever he's going by now, okay? Just when you think that this man and his doctrine that he teaches can't get any worse, here we are, okay, and we are set up as defenders for the gospel, and you know the apostles, the elders, brothers have already went in on this topic. This is just my spiritual 2 cents, okay? Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, Nate is basically saying that in the kingdom, the other nations are going to rise up while we're in our rulership, and that is definitely not what the scriptures say, and that is not what prophecy says. Okay, as a matter of fact, through the Spirit, we're going to begin in the book of Daniel. Okay, and the book of Daniel is a heavy chapter. He received some very heavy prophetic visions, but one of the major ones, okay, is the statue when he was sent to interpret Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Okay, and the statue, this famous statue that we all know about, that we've all seen images of and renditions of, foretells of the world empires. Okay, now we're going to begin in the book of Daniel chapter 2, and I just want to summarize it really quick. It says, this is Daniel chapter 2, beginning at verse 31. It says, Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. And here's the point that I wanted in verse 34. It says, Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Okay, and that's the main point I wanted, because this stone that was cut without hands, that smote the bottom of this statue, the feet of iron and miry clay, is parabolic for Yahweh Shai. Okay, because the interpretation of the vision goes that when this stone came and smote the image and knocked it down and broke it down, okay, the world was full with a righteous kingdom. Okay, we can begin. Actually, verse 35 will explain it better. It says, Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. So when the statue fell and broke to pieces, it became like dust in the wind, and it was never seen again. Okay, that's how temporal the kingdoms of mortal men are. Okay, continuing on, it says, And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and a mountain is symbolic for a government. Okay, that great government is the government of Israel. It says, and filled the whole earth. So this government is going to fill the whole earth, and there's going to be no kingdom that comes thereafter that's going to take it down, because that's going to be a kingdom that's established by Yahweh Shai. Now, for edification's sake, let's just go through the history of what the statue represents and which kingdoms it was speaking about. Okay, so when you go to the head of gold, that's going into the Babylonian Empire. Okay, who's one of the notable rulers was Nebuchadnezzar II. Okay, and that was from 605 to 539 BC. Okay, and let's see, when you go to the silver, that was going to the Medo-Persian Empire. A notable ruler during that time was Cyrus II. Okay, and that was from 539 to 331 BC. All right, and then you have the bronze, which goes into the Grecian Empire, and we know the notable figure in rulership during that time, ancient Greece, was Alexander III, or as we know, Alexander the Great, or as the Edomites call him. Okay, and the four generals that took over after him, which were Cassander, Lysimachus, Ptolemy, and Seleucus. Okay, then you have the iron, which is the Roman Empire. Okay, the Grecian Empire was from 331 BC to 168 BC, and then you go down to the iron, which was the Roman Empire. Okay, which is 168 BC to 476 AD. Okay, and during this time, the notable rulers were the Caesars, such as Julius, Augustus, Tiberius, right? And then you go down to the clay and iron, which is the revived Roman Empire, and that was from 1776 AD to present, here to 2023. And you can go down the list of our current presidents from George Washington to shitty Joe Biden. Okay, this is what Daniel's seen, and I'll show it through the Spirit for those of you that don't know what I'm speaking about. But this is the statue that he's seen. Okay, and he broke it down, and we're in the time of the clay and iron that's about to be smote with the second coming of Yahushua. So you mean to tell me that when Yahushua comes, that after 1,000 years, these heathen nations are going to somehow rise up and take them down? I mean, think about it. Yahushua has been waiting for over 2,000 years to come back and reign. So you mean to tell me that when he does come back and reign, it's only going to be for 1,000 years? You mean to tell me that after we're delivered and our bodies are changed and we're made perfect, that these mortal heathens are going to somehow usurp authority over righteous Israelites with superpowers? And I know it sounds fantastical to say, but these are the questions that you must need ask when you hear a rhetoric like these heathens rising up in the kingdom of heaven. The whole reason the Israelites went into a perpetual state of captivity is because we broke the law, statutes, and commandments. We sinned. Sin is transgression of the law. With the second coming of Yahushua, that's also going to fulfill the second covenant, which is going to make us perfect in the eyes of the Most High and sinless. Therefore, we're not going to go into captivity anymore. Death is going to be swallowed up. Sin is going to be swallowed up. Okay? So there's a lot of holes in this blasphemous doctrine, okay, that Nate is teaching. All right? Let's get the book of Joel 3 and 2. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying to the hopeful elect. This is the book of Joel 3, verse 2. It says, and the headline reads, "The Lord will rescue his people." And we are here, Babylon the Great, in our last captivity. Once we are rescued here, we are not going into captivity anymore. We are not going to be under these heathens anymore once we are established as a nation. Okay, this is Joel the 3rd chapter. It says, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem." Now, when it says bring again the captivity, that doesn't mean we're going to go back into captivity. That means he's going to take us out of slavery. Okay? And as you continue to read on, the scriptures get more plain. Verse 2, "I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat." Okay, in the valley of Jehoshaphat, the Levant region, okay, Jehoshaphat in the Hebrew, Yahushaphat, Yahweh's judgment, he's going to bring these nations down to a particular place, okay, to be judged. Okay, it says, "and will plead with them for my people." Plead means to judge. He's going to judge these nations for the sake of his people, which we read in verse 1 is Judah representing the southern kingdom and Jerusalem representing the northern kingdom. Okay, which together we are the Israelites. 12 tribes, one nation. All right. It says, "and will plead with them for my people and for mine heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations in part of my land." Okay? So the Lord is going to gather these nations together to be judged. All right? Let's get let's see, Isaiah 66, because it's all through the scriptures. The prophets all spoke the same thing, and here we are in these last days, coming back in our same lots, further explaining what was already written. Okay, this is Isaiah 66 and 16. It says, oh, actually, we'll begin at verse 15, because the headline above verse 15 reads, okay, the new creation. It says, for behold, the Lord Yahweh Shemashai will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. That's going to happen here in these last days. It says, for by fire and by his sword will the Lord Yahweh Shemashai plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord Yahweh Shemashai will be many. Okay? And that's going to be that great judgment that comes and hits this land, where all these nations are going to be judged, even 2/3 of our own people. But those that are delivered and saved out of this fire, out of this indignation, are going to be the hopeful elect. And once they are established and set up in rulership, there is nobody that's going to take them down. Okay? That new governing body under Yahushua and King David, okay? These mortal heathens are not going to rise up while we were in our kingdom. Okay? There's so many scriptures that contradict that very thought and that very teaching. All right? Let's get Second Ezra. Because you got to remember the type of power that Yahushua is coming back with. This is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 13, beginning at verse 9. Actually, I'll begin at verse 8. I'll begin at verse 6. Actually, I'll begin. You know what? This is Second Ezra chapter 13, and I'll just begin at the top, because it's so much information here. It says, and it came to pass after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, and it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And this is talking about the return of Yahushua and that fathership. Do you really think that anything the heathens have are going to be able to stand against that when Yahushua returns? No. They're going to be destroyed. Okay? And after they're destroyed, do you think there's going to be a time where they're going to rise up and challenge us again? I don't think so. Verse 4. It says, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it filleth the fire. And this is talking about those that concentrated fire, those lasers, okay, that the chariot's going to be shooting out, vaporizing the adversaries and the heathens. Okay? It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. So just like that scene in the first Independence Day movie, when all those fighter jets were gathered together, that's exactly how they're going to come against Yahushua. Okay? Only they're not going to send some kind of computer virus to the fathership to knock down the shields and somehow take it down. Okay? Yahweh Shemashai is going to destroy these nations. He's going to embarrass these nations. And the scriptures detail it. That war in heaven, okay? This is that war in heaven. All right? Verse 6, it says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, that fathership, and flew up upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. So he's likening this fathership onto a mountain. But he's looking and seeing that it's obviously not a mountain, okay, because he would have seen where it was erected from. This is coming from the fourth dimension, so to speak. This is coming from another realm, all right? Yahushua is coming to invade this earth and take down his adversaries. And when he does that, they're not going to rise again. Okay, verse 8. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. So when they see this, they're going to be afraid. And this is at the height of their technology. How much more so, okay, when they're taken down in chains? When are they going to have the time to gather together and build weapons when they're going to be in a continual state of servitude under the same superpower that took them down at the height of their glory? Okay? Verse 8, it says, "And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and he has durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been, a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests." So this is parabolic for Yahweh Shai. He's not going to have to lift a finger to destroy these nations. He's going to be standing atop that fathership, okay? And these lasers are going to zap his opponents. Flawless victory, okay? Continuing on, verse 11. "And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight." Okay, so these lasers are going to come out of, the different barrels or the epicenter of this chariot, and it's going to completely disintegrate, okay, these forces. Okay, just like Independence Day when that beam came down and wiped out a whole city, it's going to be similar to that. Or even War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise, when those sabers came out of those tripods and those lasers vaporized the people, dehydrated them into dust. That's exactly what's going to happen. Where do you think the inspiration for these films come from? It comes from the scriptures. Okay? It says, "And fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke." When I saw this, I was afraid. Okay? And this is what's going to happen. This is what's written. All right? This is what's going to happen when Yahweh Shai returns. All right? Let's go back to Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 2. So many different scriptures to cut this, man. Isaiah chapter 2, beginning at the top. And the headline reads, "Isaiah prophesies the coming of Hamashiach's kingdom." Okay, it says, "The word of Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh Shemaiah's house, shall be established in the top of the mountains." So the government of Yahweh Shemaiah is going to be established above all governments. Okay? "And shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it." So this is the government of the 144,000. Okay, under Yahweh Shai and King David and the 144,000 in their respected order. Okay, it says, "And many people shall go and say, Come, yea, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord Yahweh Shai, to the house of the Most High, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of Yahweh Shai from Jerusalem." And that's a clear indicator that those people that are in the land now are not the people. Because if they were, then this scripture would be being fulfilled. Nobody's going up there to learn the law, statutes, and commandments. On the contrary, they're breaking every law, statute, and commandment written herein. Okay? This is talking about when Yahweh Shai returns. Okay? And we are taken back to our land, which is going to be destroyed and eventually cleansed. These heathen nations, okay, are going to want to learn and learn the law, statutes, and commandments from us. Okay? They're going to see the power. They're going to see the glory. And they're ultimately going to respect us. Okay? As the chosen people of Yahweh Shai. And although they're not going to be given immortal bodies, they're going to seek to keep the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability. Because they're going to be under hardcore slavery for 1,000 years. And afterwards, when they're given their own lands, they're going to continue to be tributaries. The nation of Esau Edom is going to be completely destroyed after that. Gog and Magog is not going to rise up and gather these other nations to come against the nation of Israel while we're in our kingdom. Are you crazy? All right. It's, verse 4, it says, "And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore." So they're not going to learn war anymore after they are ultimately defeated during the war of Armageddon in the valley of Jehoshaphat during the second coming of Yahweh Shai. Okay? Let's see. Let's get Micah 4:2, just to show that all the prophets spoke the same thing. This is the book of Micah, chapter 4, verse 2. Actually, I'll begin at the top because the headline reads, "The Lord will teach the nations." This is Micah 4. It says, "But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord Yahweh Shemashai shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow into it." Did we not just read that in the book of Isaiah? Okay? "And many nations shall come and say, Come, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord Yahweh Shemashai, and to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Yahweh Shemashai from Jerusalem." He's reiterating what Isaiah said, what we just read. Okay? Continuing on, it says, "And he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid. For the mouth of the Lord Yahweh Shemashai of hosts has spoken it." Okay, so we are going to be established, and nobody's going to be able to come against us. Okay, any nation that even dares think that is going to be destroyed. All right, and that's a very comforting thought, because we're going to have all power in righteousness. And once we are made perfect, Yahweh Shemashai will once again be able to look upon us as sons and as a people. Do you really think he's going to let these nations come back and come against us? It's not going to happen. Okay? Let's get Zechariah chapter 14. The words of another prophet that prove against the hearsay that IUIC is teaching. Zechariah chapter 14. Alright. Zechariah chapter 14, beginning at verse 16. It says, "And it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahweh Shemashai of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh Shemashai of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague, wherewith the Lord Yahweh Shemashai will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles." So we know that during that in our customs, the Hebrew Israelite customs, that the men were required to go to Jerusalem 3 times out of the year for the high holy days. That's going to be the same for these heathens in the kingdom. Okay, just as we're forced to celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas and all these holidays, they're going to be forced to keep our high holy days. And the scriptures are saying that in the kingdom, if they don't do that, they're going to be cursed with no rain. They're going to be cursed with the plague. Okay, so there's going to be a judgment for not coming to keep our laws, not our laws, but our high holy days, and even our laws, statutes, and commandments, because those are going to be enforced to the fullest as well. We are going to be in complete control in righteousness. Okay? Now let's get Isaiah 45 and 17. A little Hebrew hopscotch, but bear with me through the Spirit. Isaiah 45 and 17. Okay, which reads, "But Israel shall be saved in the Lord Yahweh Shemashai with an everlasting salvation. He shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end." Okay, so we are not going to be ashamed. But the main thing I wanted out of here is that we're going to have an everlasting salvation, an everlasting kingdom. All right, we are not going to be taken down, especially during the time of our rulership. This has been the time where we were taken down. This falling away, okay? But now that we have come back to the understanding of who we are here in the last days, it's time for us to be rescued and redeemed. Okay, our punishment is almost over. Let's get Revelations 20 and 5. And we're about to close out here through the Spirit. This is Revelations 20 and 5. It says, this is going into the other nations. It says, "But the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished." Okay? This is the first resurrection. going into the other nations will get their land back after 1,000 years of hardcore slavery. Okay, that doesn't mean after 1,000 years these nations are Esau's going to be loosed from his prison. Okay, for those of you that don't know, when you go into Revelation, which they're pretty deep breakdowns, it jumps back and forth throughout time. You can't sit here and read it like a novel. Okay, you got to do a little Hebrew hopscotch, or as the scriptures say, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. Okay, continuing on in verse 6, it says, blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection, those that make it on the first go around at the return of Yahushua, the 1/3, the elect. On such the second death had no power. The second death being the nuclear missiles. Okay, that first death being the flood. The second death being with fire. Okay, those that make it on the first go around are considered blessed, and thus doing this work in truth and sincerity hope to be accounted amongst that hallowed number. It says, but they shall be priests of the Most High and of a Mashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Okay, and that's what we're looking to do. That doesn't mean that after 1,000 years it's going to be over. This is just detailing that first 1,000-year period, the first day, because one day to the Lord is 1,000 years. This is detailing the quote-unquote first day in the kingdom of heaven. Okay, because after 1,000 years, these nations are going to be given their land. But Esau Edom is going to be destroyed after that. Okay? Now, let's get our Revelations 11 and 18. Says, and the nations, and this is and when you read, and this is going into how Hamashiach is going to reign forever. Okay? Revelations 11 and 18, it says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come in the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. So the Israelites are looking to get a reward, but the thing that stands out here that I wanted was, and thou shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. Who has destroyed the earth? Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. The wicked is Esau Edom. They're the only nation that is destined to be destroyed. The only nation not promised any place of repentance. Okay? And we're going to end it through the Spirit in Proverbs 29 and 2. This is going to be our closing scripture. Okay? Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So in the kingdom, when we're in authority, the people are going to rejoice because they're going to be in a better state than they ever were under Esau Edom. Okay? But after 1,000 years, they're still going to be tributaries. But they're still going to be living better than they are here now. Okay? And that's a clear indicator that we are not in the kingdom, and the people that are in the land are not the people. Because we're mourning greatly, especially the Israelites. But we have hope in a Savior that's going to come and redeem us. And once that kingdom is established, it is never going to be taken down. Okay? So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect. You know, the apostles and the elders and different brothers have tackled this topic from different angles. This is just my spiritual 2 cents. And once again, Lord willing, it was edifying. But with that, I want to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule well. And peace and salutations to the hopeful elect who are continuing to fight and teach this thing of ours in truth and sincerity. This has been your brother Manat Dazak. Until next lesson, Shalom.